Hi everyone. It is almost 2 p.m. here in New York, and welcome back to my vlog. This is my life. Because guess what? This is my life. So I started talking about what I've been going through for the past 3 years. And I talked to you about nose itches. I talked to you about coming off of Xanax. I talked about ending up at the crisis center, and I talked about my doctor lying to me. Now, I want to talk about today in this video, I want to talk about the symptoms that I had when I first came off of Xanax. Now, these symptoms, they lasted about they lasted about a year, and some continued. Some I still am struggling with, but a lot of them did disappear, which I'm grateful for. But a lot of them did come back. And that's the thing is when you come off on a medication as strong as a benzodiazepine, the withdrawals, they go away, they come back. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what do you mean withdrawals come back? I mean, if once you're off the medication, you withdraw, you're done. Well, the thing is you still are struggling with symptoms even after you stop taking the benzodiazepine. And that's what I've been trying to explain to a lot of people, and they just don't understand it and they refuse to listen. When I say the withdrawals, these are symptoms that you're going to have for 6 to 18 months if you taper. If you don't taper and you cold turkey, just like I did, your symptoms can go past 18 months and it can last years. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. I am just giving you facts. And that is coming from someone that has been off of benzodiazepines for a little over 3 years. Now, in the first year, which would be my freshest time coming off the medication, allergies, I struggled with a lot of symptoms. A lot of symptoms. Now, I'm going to list these symptoms, but remember, they all did not stay with me throughout the first year. They did go away or they got lessened, like they weren't as bad. So let's start. When I first came off of Xanax, I was having problems sleeping. And then I did not recognize at first because I have suffered with insomnia for years. Then I was having problems eating. I would eat and then I'd start throwing up. And then I got to the point I didn't want to eat, but I could not keep doing that because I had an eating disorder back in 2009 after I had my very first mental breakdown, which ended up me being placed on antidepressants. So I had to be very careful what was going on with me if I was not eating. So I had to actually force myself to drink meal replacement shakes. And being lactose intolerant, that was a major problem for me. But I had to put something in my system. Another thing I had when I first came off in Xanax was I was very tired. I was fatigued, and I wanted to just go to sleep all the time. But because I also suffered with insomnia at the same time, I was battling them both. Like I was fatigued during the day and I couldn't sleep at night. So it didn't help. I was getting barely any sleep at all. I may have seen like an hour or two of sleep. And that's broken sleep. I didn't sleep the full hour or 2 hours. Another thing I struggled with was I had a lot of muscle aches, body aches. It got to the point that my legs hurt so bad that I could not walk. I ended up being bedbound. And when I say bedbound, I don't mean I was staying in bed. It's just that's where I preferred to be because I was not feeling great. I was not feeling well enough to try to get up on my feet and maneuver. That's how bad the pain was. So, what I would do is I would literally roll out of bed, end up hurting myself doing it, roll out of bed, and I would literally crawl to the kitchen or to the living room, depending on where I had to go, or the bathroom. And as soon as I was done with what I needed to do, I came right back. Like if I needed to get a meal replacement shake out of the fridge, I crawled to the kitchen, opened the fridge, grabbed a meal replacement shake, shut the door, crawled right back, and then got myself back into bed. Another thing I was dealing with was my anxiety. My anxiety seemed to have went through the roof. And I couldn't understand why it was still going through the roof because I was on an antidepressant at the same time. And I was having heart palpitations, and I'm thinking, when is this going to end? And that's when, in the beginning, I ended up at the crisis center because of all these things hitting me at once, and it scared the crap out of me. It scared the living daylights out of me. And I'm not trying to say all this to scare anybody that is on benzodiazepines. I'm just telling you what to look forward to because eventually you're going to have to come off it because you cannot be on it lifelong, long term. It's dangerous. Okay. Doctors are lying to you on how dangerous these are. They're not telling you how dangerous they are. They're keeping that to themselves. When really these do mess up the chemicals in your brain, the neurons in your brain, your neurotransmitters in your brain. It messes them up. Another thing I struggled with was I had a lot of paranoia. Um, I was afraid of being left home alone. My husband would go off to work, and I'd be left by myself. And at that time, in the beginning of coming off of Xanax, I was approved for short-term disability through my job. Now I'm going to talk more about that in another video because that's got a whole nother video for that. Well, anyways, I ended up with agoraphobia. Now, agoraphobia is if you leave your safe zone, which is mainly your home, is your safe zone. If you leave your safe zone, you can end up putting yourself in a panic attack. Uh, you get scared. You fear the worst is going to happen to you because you're not in your safe zone. Another thing I struggled with was tinnitus, ringing in my ears 24/7. I guarantee it's ringing while I'm sleeping, but ringing in my ears 24/7. I am still struggling with that. I still have the ringing in my ears. I believe I'm going to be left with that the rest of my life. Um, that also does not help with my sound sensitivity because uh, it's a constant ringing in my ears. Like I tell people, and I said to my husband, it sounds like there's cicadas stuck in my ear. So if you've heard cicadas, then you know exactly what sound I'm talking about. I used to think it was crickets. I used to say it was crickets, but then I'm thinking, no, wait a minute. I lived in the country. That is not crickets in my ear. That's cicadas. I have to think because there was a lot of symptoms that I had. I should have went from head to toe to explain it all to you. Head pressure. Head pressure, that was another thing. And the thing is I struggle with head pressure anyways, due to the fact that I have a rare brain disorder that can cause pressure in my brain, in the head. So I couldn't tell what was what when it came to pressure in my head. But I was dealing with that a lot more than I was normally dealing with it. And it seemed like no amount of pain reliever would help me get rid of this pain. And that was the same with the body aches and the muscle aches. No amount of pain reliever could get rid of the pain. Now, back when I first came off of Xanax, we did have an apartment, and I was able to take a bath. Now, my thing is we already know my fear of showers. Um, I'm afraid that I will slip in a bathroom or something will happen to me when I'm in the bathtub or in the shower. So I wait for my husband to be home before I end up taking a shower. I still do that. I am slowly learning how to not be so afraid to take a shower without my husband being home. And that's scary. It's scary because there's nobody here that would do anything for me if there was something to happen to me in the shower. And I always fear something's going to happen to me in the shower because of what happened to my mother, her being found deceased in the bathtub. Another thing is my vision. I was getting blurry vision right and left. And that worried me because one, the rare brain disease that I have or disorder I have can put pressure on your eyes, which can make your eyes blurry. But if it's not taken care of, you can cause blindness. So I didn't know what was what. And it was it was making my anxiety worse. It was making my panic disorder worse. Um, I started having problems with my sinuses. So because I had just came off of Xanax and it was around the time that it was allergy season, I couldn't tell what was what because of allergy season. Couldn't tell which was what. What's my allergies and which isn't my allergies. Another thing is depression. Depression, and I'm still struggling with that, but hopefully we can get that better now that I got my kitty. Um, depression. Depression was another thing that was really bad when I first came off of Xanax. Light sensitivity and sound sensitivity, that started a little later. It wasn't in the beginning of coming off in Xanax. I did do a video on light sensitivity, sight sensitivity, and sound sensitivity, but those came out a little later. They weren't right when I came off of Xanax. That was something I developed later on, and I think I developed that more when I was able to get back up out of bed and was able to do things by walking around. So let's keep going. We're making our way down. Heart palpitations. Like I said, was having heart palpitations right and left, and I could not pinpoint if it was from coming off on Xanax or it was the heart palpitations I was dealing with before I came off on Xanax. Because, and hopefully this does not get removed off of YouTube because it has been announced by the CDC. After I got my COVID vaccine that year, I was starting to have problems with my heart rate. I was having heart palpitations more than normal than the heart palpitations I was having with my anxiety and my panic disorder. I was being rushed to the hospital like every other day because of my heart palpitations. It was getting awful. I used to wear an Apple Watch, which you see, I don't have one on. And eventually my husband took that away from me because I was monitoring my heart rate too often. And what happens when you're fixated on something? When you're fixated on something, you can change things. And when I was having a panic attack or my heart palpitations were just going out of control, I turned to look at the Apple Watch. I checked my heart rate, and then I saw the number, and then I checked it again, saw the number, not realizing that your heart rate does change within seconds. So here I am worrying myself, and as I'm worrying, I'm making the heart go even faster. So I was causing my heart rate to actually go up. That was something I had to learn later on in life because everything I've learned on my own because nobody has helped me. Nobody has listened to me. I had to learn this all on my own. I read up on some things, listened to some people that have came off in benzodiazepines, but I had to learn different techniques and everything to help myself. Another thing, making our way down, gastro problems. I was nauseous all the time. I was throwing up. My stomach was hurting. It was cramping. I was actually having what felt like menstrual pains, but it wasn't time for my cycle. And it seemed like no matter what I did, I couldn't get rid of the pain. I would use a heating pad, and that would get rid of some of the pain, but not a lot of it. I ended up having more pains in my legs. I would have like numbness in my legs. I've had numbness in my feet. And that was mainly the reason why I didn't walk. Because when I did stand up, it was like jelly. I could not stand up. It was like my body just wanted to give out underneath me. So that's what made it hard for me to walk. Things that I had that weren't like physical, that were more mental, I had a lot of intrusive thoughts, thoughts of death, thoughts of something happening to somebody that I care about, mainly my husband or my children. I always had these weird thoughts in my head that, you know, I would get these thoughts in my head that what's going on with me is going to end me. That was always my thought in my head, was what's going on is going to end me, because coming off of Xanax, a benzodiazepine, cold turkey, can cause you to go into a coma, can cause you to have seizures. It can unalive you. So after hearing about that, it worried me that what I did is I shortened my life. I thought I shortened my life. I didn't even think I would ever make it past the first year off. Literally. I thought my family would be setting up my funeral. Literally. I literally updated my last will and testament because of those intrusive thoughts. I wanted to make sure that all my wishes were met, my stuff was given to who it had to be given to, and then the permission of my husband doing whatever he wants with the rest of my stuff. Another thing that I dealt with mentally was derealization, where it didn't seem like anything was real. It was like I was in a dream, like it was a different. It was like a multiverse. It was like a multiverse. It was like not real. It was, when I looked at it, it was like I was looking at a movie. It's like, it's even real. Another thing is a depersonalization. Now, depersonalization, I don't know what it means, but um, what I felt is that it had something to do with how I saw myself. And I didn't see myself as me. It was just, it was a weird moment. You'd have to look up derealization and depersonalization, because my version of it can be different than other people's version of it. Um, so those were the main symptoms that I had my first year off. Now, some some of them are gone. Um, the derealization, depersonalization is gone. Um, I'm I'm not looking at things as if I'm watching a movie. It's done. It's over with. Um, I still struggle with insomnia. I am dealing with fatigue, but it's not as bad. It's not as bad. Um, but hi, kitty. Uh, Another thing I'm not dealing with that is as bad as um, the muscle aches and body aches. I don't have them as bad. I am experiencing some, but as you know, I live in a room. All I have is a bed to sit on right now until I can organize a spot for my chair, and where I was going to put my chair. The kitty's there now. Um, so I have to get up and start moving around and doing more things, and maybe get my exercise bike out and do something. I don't know. But it's not as bad as it used to be. I'm still struggling with agoraphobia. Um, but that has gotten better. I can get outside. I can get a little distance away from my safe zone, even though this really isn't a safe zone, but my room is my safe zone. I can walk away from here just a little bit, but it can't go too far. My light and sound sensitivity is a little better. The light sensitivity when it comes to stores and those fluorescent lights, that is still bad. But I am able to watch some movies and some TV. I am doing some exposure therapy with that. Depression is still there, but look at how I live. Anxiety is, it's not anxiety anymore that I'm dealing with. It's more of my panic disorder, but it's mainly my home environment is not really helping me right now. Um, the head pressure, that's a different story, because right now I'm starting to assume that it is part of my rare brain disorder. Um, the heart palpitations, I've been looking into that to see if there's something else that could be causing it. I do take a beta blocker for that. I did take that before I got on here. Hmm. Another thing I forgot to mention, amaxophobia. That's another phobia I have. Amaxophobia is the fear of driving. Some people have a fear of being a passenger. I don't know what caused it, but I think what caused it was the fact I almost got hit in the wintertime. And I think it scared me. So, those are the symptoms that I had first coming off of the Xanax. Like I said, some of them went away, some just lessened. My second and third year, my second year off, my third year, um, I still struggled with those symptoms. Uh, they have gotten better. Some have gotten worse. I go in from waves to windows. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what are waves and what are windows? Windows are when you have a moment where you feel that your mental health is doing good. You have a good day. Okay. Like me, I've actually been in, you probably don't notice it and you can't because I try to be in, when I'm talking to people and I know I'm going to be in front of people, like I am here or my TikTok videos, anything on any of my reels, I try to be a happy person. I try to seem happy. But deep down, I am still struggling. I'm having intrusive thoughts all the time. And, I just ignore them. They're just there. They just let them echo around. I don't really care about them. Because I keep telling myself I'm in a coma. I'll wake up, even though I know I'm not. But that's my thing. I'm in a coma. This isn't real. This isn't real. Well, anyways, waves are when you're having a really bad time with your mental health, you're having a really bad time with your symptoms. And that's what I've been having since February of last year. I've been dealing with waves. Have I had moments of clarity, moments of good days? Yes, but it's very short lived. It maybe lasts an hour or two, and then I'm right back where I was. Why this is happening? I'm starting to think it's some traumatic experiences I've had in the past year that has gone by, which technically I should say 3 years. Hagen, what are you doing? I'm gonna hang off my curtain. So waves and windows. Windows are when you're having a really good mental health day. You can have a window and have some, low moments, but not low to the point that you are dealing with depression. Me, it's mainly been waves. I've had very few windows during all of this, but I am going to be working on that. Now, during all this, I did go see a chiropractor, and I found because somebody said to see a chiropractor for my back pain that I have. What are you doing, honey? The back pain I've been having. I went to a chiropractor. Come to find out, my spine is misaligned, so that doesn't help. So those are all the symptoms I had in my first year, and then, as I said, in the second and the third, some went away, some came back, some lessened, some worsened. So these symptoms, they come, they go. But here's the thing, I'm still here. I'm still here. Even though I've struggled, even though I thought I would not make it, here I am at 3 years off from Xanax, breathing, even though I'm struggling right now to stand here because my back is killing me, even though I know that my beta blocker is only going to last for so long before the heart palpitations are back, even though my head is pounding, but because I took my 5-HTP, I can't take anything else that contains serotonin. until it starts to wear off more, and then I can take something from my head. So I stand before you. I'm struggling right now, and you don't see that. And that's what I try to tell people. Not all mental illnesses are visible. Just the same as not all disabilities are visible. Would you know by looking at me that I have a disability? Of course, I got denied by Social Security, but that's because I'm young. They're going to deny me. And since it's not interfering, according to them, interfering with my life, which, yeah, it is, I got denied, which I will be appealing that. But to look at me, would you know I have a disability? And no, it's not when I have to use a cane, because I do use a cane now because my balance has been off, not related to any of this. But I do have a disability. I have neurological disorder, and I will make a video about that some other time. But actually, I might bring it up during talking about coming off of Xanax, because some of the things I deal with that is not related to coming off of Xanax, other people do deal with. It's as an ism, but not exactly what it is. So I'm gonna end this video here and start thinking about what I'm gonna say next to you all. And remember, I'm not trying to scare people by telling you all of this and what I've gone through. I'm just giving you facts. I've lived through it. I've survived. I made the mistake of coming off in cold turkey, and I wish I didn't. I seriously wish I didn't, because I'd probably be better off right now than I am. So I'm going to come back later, and I'm going to talk about actually my disability, because I'm going to talk about how that is a symptom that we do have. And I didn't mention it because I wanted to make a video about it. So I will see you all later. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back. I just got to figure out what my kitty is doing behind me. Oh, here's the litter box. Got to see what the kitty's up to. I got to check and see if my husband left me a text message. And then I will be back to talk about my disability that other people that came off benzodiazepines do end up getting, but theirs is curable. Mine's not. So, bye for now.